Alrighty guys, today we're going to be doing a comparison between the KLX 300 and the KLX 230. One's my wife's bike, which is the 230, and mine's the 300. We originally bought the 300 for her, but I think she's a lot more comfortable in the 230, so we ended up getting two. We just fell that much in love with these bikes. They're great little bikes. They do great off-road and on-road. They don't have as much ground clearance as a lot of bikes. They don't have as much power as a lot of bikes, but I think they're reliable enough and fit the bill for what we want. A little dual sports to ride around town, ride out in the country, find some dirt roads, do a little off-roading, not too much because we don't have the experience yet that we should. Both great little bikes. Talking gas mileage, out of my KLX 300, I've gotten around 50 to 70 miles per gallon. I've actually added the IMS 3.8 gallon because the range on the 2 gallons was pretty low. Now I feel comfortable going out and actually seeing the fuel level that I have. No problems out of it. Because the KLX 300 doesn't have a gas gauge, it's kind of hard to tell where you're at unless you track the miles, which is fine for a lot of people, but I like having that reassurance of seeing it. Now talking the gas mileage on the KLX 230. It's a great little bike. It gets really good gas mileage. You really can't ask for too much more. She gets about 60 to 80 miles per gallon on her little 2-gallon tank. And she actually does have a gas gauge, which is nice. How accurate it is, I don't know. It seems like the fuel light turns on when she just hits about a gallon left in the tank. So that's a little scary for her, not knowing exactly how far she's got, but it does okay. Now talking the seat height. For her, the KLX 300, which is originally what we bought it for, was a little too high. She was tiptoeing on one foot and not really able to reach the ground with the other foot. The seat height that they state is 35.2. I think that just how wide the bike is makes it feel higher than it actually is. Maybe it's just her. She has a very low inseam. She's a small lady, 5'3". Maybe on 6'4" I can flat foot nearly every bike that I ride. Even my Yamaha Tenere that I had, which is pretty high, I could flat foot. My CRF 450 that supposedly is pretty high, I'm able to flat foot it easily. Not many bikes feel big to me, just being a big dude. And then her little KLX 230, they state the seat height is about 33 inches. I think that the actual seat height when you're sitting on it feels a lot lower. For her, she's able to pretty much flat foot it. She's got both balls of the feet on the ground. Feels comfortable with the weight. The weight sits lower, feels lower. It's got an air-cooled engine, so a lot of the weight from up high is more down low. The weights aren't too different, honestly, about 10 to 15 pounds between the two bikes, but her little 230 feels so much lighter. You can really just flick it around. It's easy to pick up for her, because when you do drop a bike, which you will drop a bike, that does make a difference. If you're a little lady, I've seen little ladies pick up huge bikes, but it's really exhausting after 5 or 6 times riding off in the trails. So you really got to take that into account. How comfortable are you by yourself picking it up, moving it around? Because you never know. You might be out and about and riding it late at night and can't pick up your own bike. And that's a scary feeling. It was for her. And that's why we ended up with the 230 over the 300. Because both of them were her bikes. But she just didn't feel comfortable with the 300 like she does with the 230. Now talking about power. And honestly, there's not a huge difference between the two. It's significant, especially that's like a 20 to 30% change in power. The KLX 300 is rated at 24 horsepower at the real wheel. How true that is, I don't know. Comparing it to the CR 300, they're pretty much the same as far as power. The way it carries the power is different. The KLX 300 definitely feels a little more torquey down low, less, it's more vibey at high speeds, and I think that's one thing the CR 300 has over the KLX 300. It's just that overall feel going down the road at higher speeds feels more comfortable. Now with the KLX 230, they rated at about 17 to 19 horsepower. It's kind of hard to find exact numbers on those, but comparing it to the 230R, it's a lot closer to the 230R than the KLX 300 is to the KLX 300R. So 17 to 19 horsepower. Top speed, I'd say is probably 65 to 70. That's all that she's been able to get out of it without like vibing out like crazy. Comfortably, she cruises probably around 50 to 60 on that. So it's enough for little country roads, off-roading, and going down the highway for a short little bit. KLX 300, it's a little bit better at that. I find the comfortable speed for me at 6'4", 270 pounds is 60 to 70. I can cruise at that all day. Don't feel vibed out, don't feel uncomfortable for too long. Top speed I've been able to get it to is about 75 to 82, somewhere around there. It's hard to tell without the GPS monitor telling you what you're going, but the GPS reads about 82. So I'd say about 75 to 80. Now let's talk about suspension. Comparing the KLX 300 to the CRF 300, it's almost a night and day difference unless you spend a bunch of money. KLX 300, it's definitely sprung for someone that's a lot lighter, but it is adjustable. And me being a big dude, all I did was add some springs in it, and I feel comfortable with how it rides now. It feels like it rebounds good. It feels like it's more controlled off-road. And honestly, I got my springs from Cogent Dynamics here near where I live, and it does great. I'm happy with it. It's not as rough and tumble as a lot of dirt bikes are, or a lot of dual sports are. Still soft, which I like because I'm not a hardcore off-roader, but it gets the job done, it does it well, and I really enjoy it. Now the KLX 230, you can also see that it has standard forks in the front, so you lose some of that compared to the KLX 300 with the upside down forks. Just more control with those, I think. But these 230, the front forks being standard forks, I feel like they're easy to work on. You don't have to worry as much with a lot of stuff. And for her weight, her being a lot less heavy than a lot of Americans are, she fits it well. She's 5'3", quite a bit under the standard American's weight. So it does good for her. Her being a little light woman, she's pretty happy with it, and it does get off-road with her. She's not been able to bottom it out herself. Yeah, on the other hand, you put me on there, being a big dude, I'm bottoming out just hitting a speed bump. So take that into mind when you're buying one of these motorcycles for a starter bike, is what needs to be done to fit it to your weight, to feel comfortable doing dual sport riding, if that's something you want to do. Or if you just want to ride around town, maybe that's not a huge worry to you. It's just a nice little fuel efficient motorcycle that can get you from point A to point B. They're both great for that. Now let's talk price. My KLX 300 is a 2024. We bought it in 2024. Later part of the year, so it still had a pretty good price on it. I think it was $5,200 out the door with some tugging down and using some military, because Kawasaki does give military discount for veterans and stuff. $250, I think it is. We brought it around about $5,000 before all the tax, titles, and fees. So about $5,500 to $5,700 out the door is what I got it for. You may be able to find one pretty close to that price, and I think that's a great deal for a motorcycle, especially if it's one of your first off-road dual sport motorcycle. I think that's a great deal. You really can't go wrong with that package. And talking about the 230, we got a really good deal with her bike. think it was a leftover, but it's 2025 230S. We got hers for what the sticker price was 3,800, 3,900, just about a 4,000. And after all the tax titles, fees, and all that stuff, which we were able to work with them a little bit, Kawasaki also gave us a discount with them. I think we got it to about 4,800 out the door, which I think is great. That is a great price for a first bike. One that you can really grow with, improve your riding, keep it on the back burner. You don't have to worry about losing out on a bunch of money. You can always keep it as a second bike or keep riding it because it'll progress with you throughout your whole riding adventures and dual sporting and everything. I think overall it's a great bike. So in my opinion, it comes down to a couple different things. What kind of riding you want to do, what kind of money you're wanting to spend, and how you fit on the bikes. Go and sit on them, see how you feel about them, see which one fits you best, because that's something that we missed out on with buying her first bike, was going out and buying it, not having her sit on it and feel how it felt. Because when we went out the second time, the KLX 230 fit her better than most other motorcycles did. Even comparing it to like a CRF 250, CRF 300, we kept coming back to the KLX 230. Even over the Yamaha, the two Yamahas, their 230 and their 200, I feel that overall this is a better bike for her. CRF 300, CRF 250, KLX 250, and the KLX 300 were just a little bit too big for her to feel comfortable on learning off-road and learning where she wanted to start. Me, as a bigger guy, it's hard for me to find a bike that I don't feel comfortable riding, especially seeing as I've been riding for 15 plus years. And me being taller, I'm able to flat foot most bikes, so that's automatically gonna make it more comfortable for me. And weight's a big standard. And these are heavy bikes, they're heavy dual sports. But I think that you gain a lot in reliability when you know that you don't have to do maintenance quite as much on these bikes compared to some of the other dual sports. But all in all, I think these are great first bikes. I think there's a great bikes that people can ride for years and years and not really lose out on a lot. So just keep that in mind. And that's it. Ciao.